Hey nerds! Welcome to the React.js full course powered by React 19 and packed with real projects. Welcome to episode 10 of our React series. If you have made it here, you are basically a React superhero. In training, today we are learning a special hook that can make your app feel lightning fast. The useMemo hook. By the end of this video, you will know what useMemo is, why it can boost performance, when you shouldn't use it, and we'll build a product dashboard together using it. Now let me show you something in my code. Here in my app component, I have a counter component basically, okay, where I'm showing the result, and also I have a button which is incrementing the count value, okay, and this result is basically returning whatever we are getting from slow calculation. And in slow calculation, we are passing the count value, and whatever the count value we have, we are multiplying it by 2 and then returning the result, so we can print it on our UI. Okay, and also we do have a button to change the theme, so it changes from light to dark, dark to light. So this is what I have in my app component. Now let's go in our console and refresh it. Okay, so right now you can see it is printing calculating. Okay, so let me increase the value. So I'll click one time, it will become 2 and calculating is printing. Let me click it again, and now it is 4 and it is printing on console calculating. So that's working perfectly fine. Now let me change the theme. Okay, so I'll just click on change theme. What happened? Here is the issue. Even if I just change the theme, means even if I just clicked on the button responsible to change the theme, the slow calculation runs again. As you can see, it is getting printed. That's like having to cook a fresh pizza every time someone changes the music. Okay, so I have not made any changes in my count. I'm just changing the theme, but still my calculation is getting happen. So that is the actual issue. So right now it is fine, but suppose there is some heavy calculation happening in my this slow calculation in this function, right? So every time I will be clicking on the theme button, it will execute it. So that will hamper my performance. So to solve this issue, we have useMemo. So useMemo is like a fridge for your calculation. You cook the result once, store it, and only recook it if your ingredients have changed. So no need to calculate it every time. Whenever your ingredient has changed, then you have to recalculate it. So that is useMemo. And what is the syntax for it? So let me show you the syntax. First, you need to import it from React. Obviously, it is custom hook. So useMemo. Okay, this is how you need to import it. Now to use it, how you can do that? What is the syntax basically? So const. Suppose I have to store the value in any variable. So I'll name it as cached value, something like that. Okay, and then you have to use memo, use it within this curly brackets. Okay, you have to give a callback function and the dependency on which whenever that dependency will be changed, this calculation you need to rerun. Okay, so suppose like this in callback function, I have some function which is in curly braces. Let's return, suppose I have expensive calculation. Okay, so this function you want to execute, which is responsible to do expensive calculation only when you have to pass the dependency array. So in dependency you have to pass some data which is responsible to trigger this expensive calculation. Okay, so here whenever our data is getting changed, this expensive calculation will run. Okay, so this is the syntax to use useMemo in your component. So now let's use this syntax, and with the help of this, let's improve our app component. So let me comment it out. Okay, so how we can implement this syntax and how we can use useMemo in our component. So here, as you can see, I have this function where I'm calculating, right, which is responsible to do some expensive calculation. So this is every time re-rendering whenever I'm just changing the theme, which we don't want, right? So let's use useMemo here. So here useMemo. Okay, in useMemo, what we have to give a function which will be responsible to execute. Okay, So here we do have calculation already this function, right? So let's pass that here. Okay, and we have to pass the dependency, and now we have to pass in dependency, we have to pass the count, because only whenever our count is getting changed, then I want to rerun this calculation, not when we have to we have changed the theme. So that's why in dependency we have passed the count. So now let's save it, and basically this is the syntax. Let's go to localhost, refresh it. Okay, and now let's try to increase the value first. So let's increase it. You can see it is printing calculating, right? But now let's try to change the theme. Means let's click on this button. See, I'm clicking the button, but in console you can see nothing is getting printed. So now the slow function only runs when count is changed. The theme switch is instant. Okay, so whenever only the count is getting changed, then only our function is getting re-triggered. So in that way, useMemo help us to improve our application. Okay, so let me tell you some real life scenarios where when we should you use useMemo. Okay, so first scenario is filtering or basically sorting large data set. Then in that case, you have to use useMemo. Okay, so let me just write it here. If I need to filter or sort large data set. Okay, that is one example. Second example is expensive calculation, like some finance formula. Okay, so obviously we know that finance formulas are very large and complex. So in that case, you have to use useMemo. Okay, and if we need to avoid re-render bottlenecks in charts or maps, then you have to use useMemo. Okay, and if you need to format the data for processing, or basically you need to process or format the data to display in the UI, then in that case you have to use the useMemo. So format or process data for display. So in that case you need to use useMemo. So, okay, so these are useMemo real life example. Okay, now let me come here. Now let me tell you some common mistakes which beginners do whenever they are using useMemo. Okay, so let me mistakes. Okay, now let go one by one. So first mistake is wrapping everything in useMemo. Okay, wrapping everything in useMemo means whenever you are creating any component, any just a simple function, even that you are wrapping it in useMemo, which is wrong. So these are just a burden for your React application. Okay, so if you don't need it, don't use that. Okay, so that is one mistake. Second is forget dependencies. Okay, so most beginners just forget to add anything here in the dependencies, which just steal the result. So that is one common mistake. And another one is using it for tiny calculation, which already we discussed, right? Using it for tiny calculations. So that is one mistake. And another is confusing it with use callback. So mostly beginners gets confused with useMemo and use callback. So both are different. Use callback I'll explain in next episode. But remember, useMemo and use callback are not the same. Okay, so now let me give you one performance tip. Check the performance tab in Chrome DevTool before adding useMemo. If your calculation is already fast, you don't need it. Okay, so on Chrome DevTool, first check the performance. If it is slow, then only use useMemo. Otherwise, don't use that. It's mini project time. Now, in today's mini project, what we are going to build? We'll build a product dashboard with search and sort feature. Means we'll be showing a list of product, and also we'll have input box with where user can search the product, and we'll have a select tag. Based on that selection, user can sort the product list. Okay, and to filter out the products, as it's going to be the complex logic, so we'll be using the useMemo. Okay, because it will be expensive calculation for us. So now let me come here and let's remove whatever we have just written here. Okay, let's make everything here empty and empty. Okay, so now we are ready to start. So first, what we'll have, we should have a product list in which we'll be filtering out and showing the data, right? So let's create a variable as in products data, something like that. Okay, it will be product array. So here I'll have array, and here I'll have array of object, right? So let's create object for each of the product, and product have id, name of the product, and let's also keep the price. Okay, so let's create id is 1, and name, suppose I'll give it as a laptop something, and also the price is something, suppose $100. Okay, so like this we'll have product. So let's copy paste it few more times. Okay, so let's now replace the IDs 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. These are the product IDs. Now let's replace name, suppose phone, and make it tablet. Let's make it headphones or something, okay, and let's make it monitor, and let's make it keyboard. And now let's change the price for each also. So let's make it 800, let's make it 500, I'll make it suppose 150, and for this 300, and for this let's make it 100. So this is our list of product. Okay, so we have product array which will be object for each of the product, okay, with id, name and price. Now let's come here in our UI, okay, and let's first add a heading with our product name. So product dashboard, this is our mini project, right? Now let's make it enter. And okay, so now we have to, what we have to do, we have to show a input box where user can search the product, right? So let's create an input box here. Okay, type will be text of this input, and let's add a placeholder of search product. Okay, let's add some styles here. Suppose I want padding of 5 pixels, okay, let's add some margin right of 10 pixels. Okay, this is style. Let's close this input tag. Okay, now we have input box to search, and also let's now create a select tag to sort it out. Okay, so let's create a select tag here. Okay, let's give the styling of padding 5 pixels. Let me remove this p extra. Instead of this, it should be curly brackets, and here also the curly brackets. Okay, and now in this select we will have two options for now, which is to sort it in price low to high and high to low, means ascending and descending. So let's create the two options. So option, okay, so option here will have first will have value of this option is we want to sort it in ascending order. So let's give it ascending, just I'll sort it out. Okay, and let's give price text of the basically option low to high, something like this. Okay, and let's create one more option which will be high to low, and it will be descending, and price will be high to low. So these are the two sorting option which will be showing on the UI. And also let's, after this select, let's render the product list for now. Okay, so we want to render it in list, so let's use the UL tag, and here let's use the map function. Okay, so to render the list, so for now products data dot map, and here I'll have product. Okay, each of the product, and it will return. Let me add a curly brackets here. I think I missed it. Okay, so here I'll return li tag. Okay, li tag, where in the key I'll have product.id. We have id unique, right? And here I'll print, suppose I'll print two values. First one is product.name, whatever the product it is, and its price. So INR, dollar, anything. Okay, that doesn't matter. Product dot price. Okay, so this is our UI for now. So let's see what it is showing. Here, let me refresh it. Close the console. As you can see, I have a input box and select tag with these two options, and here I am showing the list of product. And if I type something, or even if I select any option, it doesn't work because we have not implemented the functionality yet, right? So let's go to here, and now let's first implement the search one. Okay, so we saw earlier episode, we have to store these values in a state, right? So that we can use in our calculation. So let's create a state for and store the search value so that we can filter it out. So let's create a const state. Okay, and search, and it will have a set search function. Okay, and for now it will be empty. Use state, it will have empty string. Okay, and here this value of input should have the search, right? Search text. So let's pass value will be search, and on change of this input, we want to set the value in search state also, right? So let's here after this I'll add on change in this input box. I want to will get event, and will set the whatever the user have typed. Set search is will be e dot target dot value. Now we have got the value whatever the user have typed in search box in such state, right? So now let's also create one more state to store the option user have selected. Okay, so basically the order. So let's create one more state to store the order of selection. So const, let's create here, I'll remove space. Okay, const, let name is sort order, and set sort order will be its setter function. Okay, and use state, by default I'll be giving it to be ascending order. I want to sort it out. Okay, so I'll give this. Now we do have this. Okay, now let's give this as a value to select tag. Let's copy it out, and value will be this. And on change of this select, we also need to set that value in our state, right? So let's make on change function here. On change, here event will get, and set sort order will be event dot target dot value. So whatever user will be selecting option here, it will be set in the sort order. Okay, now we have got this. Now we'll get these two value, but we have not written the filtered function. So let's create a function where we'll be filtering out our product data based on user search or sort. Okay, so let's create a variable const filtered product, which will keep the filtered list. Okay, and here we will be using useMemo because it will be expensive calculation, so we have to use the useMemo here. So use, how we can use it, we already saw, right? So useMemo, in the parenthesis I will have some dependency, so let's keep it empty here, and here I should have a callback function. So here like this, right? This is the syntax, and we want to execute our means whatever the function will be written here when our search or sort value getting changed, right? So let's pass these two in our dependency, search and sort order. So whenever are these two values getting changed, I want to re-filter the list and return the result. Okay, so let's now in curly brackets, let's create the function to filter it out. So let's first I'll add a console. Okay, so you can see on filtering and sorting product. Okay, now here let's create a variable, okay, which will basically filtered out based on the search text. Okay, so let's let filtered, I have create a variable. Okay, here we have to check if whatever the user have typed has in the name of the property. Okay, so we have to basically filter out whatever the user have typed from this product data. Okay, so let's product data. From here I'll filter what I to filter. I'll keep the product. Here I'll receive one product object, right? And I want to filter only those whose text includes whatever user have typed. So that will be the logic. Okay, so let's, if product means any of the product dot name property, let's convert it to lowercase. Okay, so if the product dot name includes whatever the user have typed, right? So search dot, let's convert it to lowercase. So whatever the user have typed will check if that includes in any of the name, and if it is matches, then we'll return that object in our filtered variable. So now this filtered will have an array of object will be matching the user have typed. Okay, so now we have got the filtered result based on search. Okay, now let's also sort it out this array so that we can return the final result. So now we have implemented one action, and let's implement the second action, which is sorting, right? So whatever the filtered array I have gotten, I have got from user search. So let's sort it out. So filter dot sort function from JavaScript, right? So here based on A and B, those two value I'll take. Okay, and here on which value I need to sort. So if sort order means this value is ascending. Okay, so if sort order is, let's compare it, ascending, then I have to A dot price, whatever the price of A, okay, means first object, whatever the price is it has, minus B dot price. In this way I want to sort if it is ascending, and if it is descending, so let's add colon, then I want to just reverse this logic. So let's B dot price minus A dot price. So this is the sorting logic. Okay, so now I'll have this first we have sorted it, first we have filtered it basically based on input search, and then we have sorted that based on user selection. Okay, and now we have the final result in our filtered array, and let's return at last filtered. Okay, so now we have this filter product. Let's use it here to show in the list. Instead of direct product data, let's show whatever the filtered value, filtered products. So now let's come here and refresh it. So now you can see price is low to high by default, right? So that's why we are getting values like this, means first 100, 150, 300, 500, 800, 1200. Let's sort it out in reverse. Okay, high to low. So as you can see, now our list has getting changed. Now the highest amount value is getting at the top. Okay, it's on, as you can see, it's working perfectly fine. So suppose I have selected high to low. Now let's filter it out based on search also. So I want to search suppose monitor, right? So I click, just type M. So from M I have only the monitor, so that's what it's showing in the list. Let's remove, and let's type the phone. Okay, so now this string matches in two of the names, one is phone and one is headphone. Okay, so that's why it is coming two result. And also we can sort this search list based on high to low. Right now it is coming. Also I can sort these two also by using low to high. So you can see these two are also sorted, right? So that is how in our component, whenever we are doing some expensive calculation, we have to use memo, so that we can avoid rerunning it every time whenever any of the dependency changes. So we want to run this filtered product only when one of our dependency, when our search or sort order is getting changed. So that is about the mini project of using useMemo. Let me share you a few more tips regarding useMemo. So useMemo can actually make your app slower if used wrong. Okay, so use it only when it is necessary. Like beginners often think like I should wrap everything in useMemo to make it faster, right? Which is wrong. So you should only use when it is necessary. So, but here is the hidden truth. Every time your component re-renders, React still need to check about the dependency of useMemo to decide if it should reuse the cached value or recompute it. So if the computation inside useMemo is cheap, okay, like adding two numbers or formatting a short string, the cost of dependency checking plus memoization can actually outweigh the benefit. So that's why you shouldn't use useMemo for cheaper calculation, because even if you have just adding two numbers, but your React has to come here and check these two dependency and then decide whether to use the cached value or recalculate. So that will take more time. So in that case, you should only use useMemo for expensive calculation. So that is the trick. Okay, when useMemo is actually worth it. When calculation is expensive, we already discussed that. When the result is passed to child component that rely on reference equality, like React.memo, so they do not need to re-render unnecessarily. Then in that case, actually useMemo is worth it. Also, when your computation result stays the same most of the time and dependencies changes rarely, then it is also worth it to keep useMemo. Recap time. What we have learned today. So first we have learned useMemo basics. Then we have fixed a slow application by using useMemo. Also we have learned when to use it, and also we have gone through the how we can avoid common mistakes when using useMemo. And at last, we have built a product dashboard with search and sort option by using useMemo. Coming up next, in next episode, we are going to meet use callback. It's like useMemo's twin siblings, but instead of remembering values, it remembers functions. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe so you don't miss episode 11, and tell me in the comments what's the slowest thing in your app right now.